Okay, so the second piece of advice, I think, is to make sure you put God first in the relationship. Um, and the ways you can do that is by maybe praying together, reading the Bible together.
Maybe not praying together. Don't doubt it. Like
that's no. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Praying together, reading the Bible together, just making sure that you put God as the center of the relationship.
Especially pray before you start to like
date.
Yeah, like I feel like our story has been really complicated. So like when I first met him, I was kind of going through like a really tough time. So I wasn't really like, I was interested in the guy and he was attractive and stuff, but my mind wasn't on love, like, oh, let's get together. At the moment I was like, I want to get through what I'm going through, and he was just helping me. So my focus wasn't like a loving relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like having someone to talk to and kind of tell him what I was going through.
Why is this baby just making noise? No, keep going with the baby.
That's so loud. Anyway, what was I talking about?
Talking about a guy.
Yeah, at the start I wasn't really like, my intentions weren't straight away love, relationship. I was focused on what I was going through. I know his were, but I know that, not primarily, I think what you first wanted was for me to be okay. And then, kind of try it. But it did take a while. Was it June? I don't know.
It's about June.
June?
Yeah, I think
so. Maybe around 3 months before we actually decided to talk. Like, I mean, we knew we liked each other. We had an interest, but
I made it obvious.
Yeah, and you still do. But like, we knew we wanted to try it, but we didn't really go into the romantic stage, let's say, until like June, I think.
Yeah.
I think so. It was from June, and then July we're officially together. So yeah, my point anyway. I wasn't like focused on that at first, so I was kind of praying more for like God to give me like a friend that I could talk to. At the time I was pretty lonely, so that was my prayer. I was like, I wanted him to stay. I really needed someone to talk about what I was going through. So that was me. I don't know how it worked for you. Like, if you like prayed about it.
No,
I did pray about like a friend and for you to stay, and then once we got together I kept praying, is this God's will and stuff. I was really confused to see, like, I'm not gonna go through the detail through what I was going through, but he knows why it was kind of confusing. It was really confusing to know, like, things that seem evident to him about my spiritual life to me are kind of blurry because of what I was kind of going through. It has affected me a lot. So that's me. I don't know about him.
Yeah. Right. So for me, I definitely
I start every video, I turn it around. Every video. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Keep going.
Yeah. So for me, like, I definitely prayed to God in my season of singleness to like bring me someone who would help me, because I know the mission that God's placed into my life. So I wanted someone to kind of help me along in that mission. So I prayed to God before that, and I also prayed to God when myself and Monica started talking about whether she was the right person or not. I think that's a really important thing to do, is to pray about whether the person is someone that God wants for you. So I think prayer is just a really important thing to do, just throughout the relationship, and just all the time. Prayer is extremely important. And don't get me wrong, guys, we're not relationship advice experts or anything like that. No, I'm only 21 years old.
This is like my first like official, like, proper serious thing. Yeah. I mean, I had a boyfriend when I was 14, but when you're 41, then
it is what it is. Like, we're not relationship advice experts, but like, from what we can see so far, I mean,
and I have to say something from previous experiences. When something is from God, it's kind of smooth. Kind of like, you don't really have to like from my previous experience, I kind of was praying to God, and I was like putting him on a box. I was like, I'm only willing to hear a yes from you, kind of thing. And with Toby, I've been like, God, whatever you want, yes or no, I'm willing to take it. That's something I think is very important, to have that attitude that person is not your everything. Okay, so if that person leaves, that your world doesn't crumble and, oh my God,
preach,
like,
preach.
You have to have that attitude that you're like, God, whatever you want. If you want him to stay or want her to stay, I'll take it. If you don't, that's okay. You know, because we don't need blessings from God. You know, we should consider himself a blessing.
That's what I'm doing.
So, what was the point?
Blessings from God. We should consider him. Wait,
This is what happens. I talk too much.
you talk. Yeah.
Okay, let me just.
Fine, she's back
I
on
got
the
it.
point.
Okay,
It is
so
what it is.
yeah, with the attitude with what you're praying to, you need to be open to receive no too.
Yes, sir.
I think when you are only expecting yes from God, that's kind of an indication it's not God, because I don't know how to explain it, but if you are only expecting like a yes, it's kind of like it has to be this person. But when it's from God, I feel like like with Toby, things I haven't gone into detail through how we met and everything, but if we did, it would be too long of a video. But
We'll make it into a movie someday.
with Toby, I was very unsure at the beginning. I was like, is this God? Like, I'm a person that like gets anxious so easily and worries very easily and like dramatizes things a lot. So I was like, I don't want to be in a relationship with. I take God serious, so I was like, I'm not gonna be with a guy that God doesn't want me with. So I was taking the prayer thing pretty serious, and so I was really unsure at the beginning, but I could see how gradually God was actually giving me peace. Things that I was fearful about at the start, I'm completely confident about now. Like before, I was like, is this God? Where now I can tell that I know it's God, because one of the evidences I can see is because I genuinely, through the way he treats me, I just see Jesus. And I sometimes pray to God about it, and it feels like I'm talking about Jesus because he reflects so much how Jesus and I met, and how, my story with him and everything is just so similar. So the fact that I can see Jesus through him, that's a pretty good evidence that God sent him, and he challenges me a lot. Thanks to him, I opened my YouTube channel, which I didn't want to do, and other projects I'm not gonna mention.
Yeah, it's coming out soon, 2021. You already know.
And with community, I was a pretty lonely. I have been a pretty lonely person most of my life. And so he has encouraged me a lot about community and the importance of community too. So if that person doesn't challenge you, if that person doesn't bring you closer to Christ, if that person doesn't make you better, like with him, I realized I've learned a lot. I've learned you can't judge, let's say, especially with Christians, people based on like the first, is it the book by its cover?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah. I feel like I can be really judgmental at times. I'm guilty of that, and he has taught me that you don't understand.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover. So I can sometimes be quite judgmental, I feel, and he has taught me that like God is the creator of everything, so you can't really put God in a box and pretend like he's gonna use people the same way. So that's something I've learned. Like that person has to teach you things, and kind of let you see what's wrong with you without making you feel bad in a sense. So with Toby, I've learned that love is not like a really easy thing. I thought it was kind of easier, but not really. He annoys me a lot, and I still have to bear it. No, but like,
okay. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, you're not perfect, neither am I. So we're gonna know each other. But like,
True.
I don't know. He has taught me really, relationships are not easy, and then how like you have to have grace with the other person. They're not gonna do things the way you want, but that doesn't mean that you have to be like, you're so dumb, you can do anything. You just have to be patient, because that's how Jesus is patient with you. I'm sure if Jesus wanted us to do the things that he does, I'm pretty sure we would never be up to his standard. So the fact that he's gracious with us shows that we should be gracious to others. So things like that, things that he has taught me without maybe even he pointing it out. Just the way he treats me. Sometimes I realize he treats me so bad, and then so good. And then sometimes I can be quite rude. I can be like mad or something. I give out to him because he's really chilled. I don't like that. I'm kind of like, do this like 2 weeks before.
She gives out to me in Spanish.
Yeah. So, yeah, what's the point?
You were saying that sometimes you can be rude.
Yeah, sometimes I can be rude, and sometimes, but he doesn't have to say it, but he treats me so well that I realized I messed up. But he doesn't have to say, Monica, sometimes he does say, I don't like the way you talk to me, but sometimes he doesn't need to. Sometimes with the way he treats me, I know I did it wrong.
Kill him with kindness.
And yeah, and that's what Jesus does. How many times are we not rude? How many times are we not like putting God aside over things we want and things like that? And he responds with love. And that should make us see, wow, I'm really messed up. So with him, he makes me see what's wrong with me, but without making me feel bad or even pointing it out, because the way he treats me shows me that I don't treat him the way I should, you know. Sometimes, I'm not that bad, but anyway. Okay.
It is what it is. All right, let's move on to the next point.
Okay.